get these massive fingers. Like these things were these are like farmer fingers, like kind of okay. And he really didn't like his job. I could see him just being like, I hate this. Bienvenidos a nuestro canal. Yo soy Pablo. And we are Familia Pablanu. Mamá está cosechando. Elena, mamá está cosechando. Cosechando las manzanas del manzano.
Last time we talked about Elena's birth. This time we're going to talk about Bella's birth, since it's October. She's an October child, baby. October baby. Talking about Bella's birth and pregnancy and all that.
You know, this is the second birth, so how was it different from the first one?
Right.
How was the pregnancy? Was it similar? Was it better? Was it worse? How did?
Oh yes,
how was all that? So I guess starting with kind of pregnancy.
Oh right, because that's one of the things we researched. Like, oh my gosh, second birth, how is it gonna be different? And the pregnancy was very unremarkable in a sense that everything just went well. I remembered I was able to feel the pregnancy, the flutter at 5 weeks. I know, I tell doctors I don't believe it. I'm like, yeah, I feel it at 5 weeks. It was a seabed. There was a life start inside of me. Boom, it starts to flutter, and ever after that big one, I feel it every day or every other day after that, until it becomes steady every day, and later in the first trimester.
Well, you also feel implantation. So if you can feel implantation, then you can definitely feel when the heart starts to beat.
I feel the implantation and pain.
Yeah,
and
Princess and the Pea. That's my
I'm able to feel everything. So it was just different pregnancies. Again,
it was a very nice pregnancy.
Yes,
nice.
Every pregnancy is different in a way or another. Yeah,
that's when we got this house. Actually, we came when you were quite pregnant.
True. That is true.
Halfway through, roughly.
Yeah. Okay. So and then, oh, I remember I went to do blood work. I took Elena with me. He went to work, and there was a lady, the phlebotomist. I know her from a long time ago, and she said, "Oh my gosh, don't tell me you're pregnant again." I said, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." And she said, "Oh, you must be busy. You must have been busy or something." I'm like, "Oh, yes, ma'am," because she saw Elena. Elena was right there. But then I saw her reaction. She stopped talking. I was like, what is going on? Did I say something? I thought it was weird, but you know, we did all that blood work and it was good. And then I came home and I told you, like, she told me I must have been busy, and I said, "Yes, ma'am." And you had said, what did you say?
I was like, you know, busy means like busy, like busy.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that explains the
But I was like, that's a great way of, I mean, it's a good response, you know. It shut her up and realized, oh, that's a stupid question for me to be asking someone who's coming into a place where many pregnant women come in. And
I actually thought she meant,
I don't know.
I'm busy taking care of Elena.
Such a silly question in that line of work.
Because we're pregnant about, she was 6 months. 6 months. Elena was 6 months. Yeah, we're pregnant. Anyways, so fast forward to second trimester, everything went well. I mean, things that made me nauseous, I didn't eat them, like tomatoes, canned tomatoes, and all this ground beef and all this food that made me nauseous. I stayed away from them. I was able to eat food that wasn't making me nauseous. And fast forward to it's the third trimester, when I did the, you know, go regularly for the checkups and everything was going well. And they said, oh, you have group B strep, group B strep positive. They did that test and they were like, I'm like, well, so what does that mean? And they said, oh, well, it just means that you have to get antibiotics when you're in labor. So whenever you're in labor, you have to rush to the hospital to make sure we give you antibiotics, because we have to catch this thing on time, or else the baby will come out and be have the group B strep disease, or whatever they said, like, and then there will be bad consequences if you don't do it. They're like, okay, this sounds
in other
really
words,
bad.
it, you know, it could affect the child in point however many % of cases.
Right.
But yeah, it's just,
and
they, well, I mean, they told us, but then they're like, you know, it's a very slight chance, but you know, it's basically standard procedure nowadays, which is pretty much everything. Everything starts off as a tiny percentage of people, or of children, like the vitamin K shots, you know, it's like a tiny percentage of children might not be able to have their own vitamin K or something like that. And if they could bleed internally, stuff like that. And so now it's like, okay, standard practice just in case. You never know. So that's pretty much everything. But yeah, in this case with the group B strep, I was like, what is that? How should I shower more? Like, should you shower? Like, is it my fault? You know, like I looked up all this stuff. I was asking people, I was like, what is this?
They didn't give us any the quite answer. They said it's a bacteria that's naturally in the vaginal area, and if it's it grows out of control, and then you have this, and it could cause a lot of problem for the mother or for the baby when the baby is being birthed, and all this bacteria and all this stuff. I'm like, if it's naturally found there, why did it grow out of control? Why is that? We didn't know.
Something's wrong.
Yeah, we didn't know back then, but with what we know now, and we find out that it all comes down to having the right gut bacteria. If you have the right gut bacteria, it actually affects you down there. They used to think that the bladder and it's a sterile place, but it's not. We realize that there's a bacteria actually in the bladder, and
good bacteria.
Good bacteria. So if you eat food that actually causes the good bacteria to grow, it grows so well that there won't be room for the bad bacteria to grow, and that is all. That's actually all that it needs. So they say, oh yeah, just take antibiotics. Antibiotics kills everything. It kills the good bacteria, kills everything. And you're back to base one.
And what does that do to the baby? They say, well, there's not really any data on that, that it affects the baby.
Yeah, it does affect the gut bacteria of the baby too.
Yeah, because then the baby comes out, and the baby's got a sterile gut, which is not good for it. Because as soon as something, you know, gets exposed to something, that child's going to get sick.
Really sick,
They're not going to have the good bacteria that is crowding it to keep the bad bacteria out.
So I was, researching what we know now. We've had a fourth now, but this is our second back then. And we researched it, and all it says that eat good food that actually make your good bacteria grows. And what are this good food? Is all this your vegetables, your fermented foods, and fruits and vegetables, everything that's grown from the ground up. And what are the ones that actually make this bad bacteria to grow? There are the dairy, your meat, and all this it's like oily, fatty foods. And
it tends to be the trend for pretty much everything.
Right.
But anyways, so
we moved forward from that, and
worried.
So yeah, we're like, okay, crap. So every little I started having Braxonic at 37 weeks, and every little thing, okay, is this it? Because, you know, and one of the things we researched is that, is it going to be faster this time? Because this is the second birth. It's going to be faster, because all this research saying, oh my gosh, the second one is going to come faster. And
maybe sooner.
Sooner too. So we're like, okay, 37 weeks, this baby's going to come. So we're like, okay, it means we have to go to the hospital, because they have to give us antibiotics for this group B.
There was a colleague of the doctor's who kind of did it down where we are and closer to where we live. So we didn't have to go so far. And so we're like, okay. And this gentleman, nothing bad about him himself, but I don't think he liked his line of work of checking pregnant women. And,
I remember.
And he was also, I think he was ex-military, and I think he had been like a paramedic or something. And so he's just like, so he came in. So he would come in, be like, hey, how are you? Whatever. And then he would just kind of get these massive fingers. Like, these things were these were like farmer fingers. Like these things, huge. And you were just like, and it was awful. He was just kind of, okay. And he really didn't like his job. I could see him just being like, I really hate this. And he'd be like, okay. And then he would always do this. And I was never ready for it. And you definitely were never ready. He would always do this. And like, I never knew what he, like, even though I'd seen that like 5 times already, it still shocked me, and it shocked you too. And then you're like, oh, right. And then you grab the hand. I'm like, it's like he's treating a wounded soldier on this. But I mean, nothing bad about the man himself. He just didn't really like his job. And I didn't really like, and this is especially any men who are watching this, I really, that was the moment when I was really like, okay, I don't want another man touching my wife like that. Like, that's not cool in any way, man or woman, actually.
That actually hurt. It hurt too every time.
It's just not cool. It's not cool. Anyways, if you can avoid that at any cost, definitely do. Just for the sake of your wife.
That was awful.
Unnecessary checking. If everything's okay, everything's okay. If you feel your body's everything okay. If you feel the baby's jumping around, moving around, you're good to go. You know, why do you have to check?
Right, that
you don't have to check. If you want to check, you ask your husband.
This is the thing that I didn't know, that we didn't know, that you can actually, you don't have to have it checked, you know. But I understand that you're, you know, second time and you're almost done, like, I'm done, let me see how far I've dilated and all this stuff. But it's really unnecessary. If you don't want to, if you want to avoid all that stuff, you don't need to know. When that baby's about to come, nothing's going to stop that baby.
That's true.
You know,
baby's going to come when the baby comes. Whether it's, you know, 38 weeks or 42 weeks. 43 weeks, yeah. I mean, baby's going to come. It's going to come, right? I mean, unless you're, you know, yeah.
I know what it feels like. I know every day seems like a lifetime when you're close to having that baby. I remember when we had an appointment, doctor's appointment, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was 38 weeks this time, and I was like, okay, how do you get this baby out faster? I'm done. And the doctor said, well, I mean, we could induce you, or, you know, there's other things that you can do to fast in labor, to, like, you know,
be intimate with your husband,
right, things like that. So I came home and I told you, this is what doctor said. That
I said, I know that, we already know that.
And I'm like, I'm tired, I'm done. Get this
I mean, one out. Of the yeah,
I mean, if you've been pregnant and you're getting close to due date, you know the struggle, you know that every day feels like a lifetime. You just want this baby out. Get this baby out of me right now. So I'm in that mode. Starting 37 weeks. Anyways, so they did that, and then 39 weeks, and we thought, oh, this is it. Every other day I have labor, prodromal labor, but that was not it. And then on due date, we went for doctor's appointment, and then they check, and then they did.
Wait. You're still going ahead because you forgot. That it was like, what, a week before? No, a couple of days before, I think. 4
days before.
4 days before is
they
when...
They checked me and then they sent me to the hospital.
You're like,
this might be it.
We're keeping me awake. We gotta go. We gotta go. And we were thinking, yeah, any day now. So you're like, okay, we gotta go.
Yeah.
But you were able to talk, you know, like you were talking fine. And we got to the hospital and you were talking fine. You're like, okay. We're like, okay, should we check in? I don't know. And like, you got checked, and it's like, okay, right now, we're not entirely sure, but we might be. And having a couple contractions. Felt like it was gonna be the time. So we're getting things ready. This might be the night before, or it might not. But we'll see. Tomorrow's Monday, a new day. So we got everything packed up, so we'll see. Love you, honeybee. Okay, we're in the hospital. We just arrived a few minutes ago. Everyone was saying good luck. So we walked in, saying Liz was about ready, it looked like.
Yeah.
She was waddling here. So here we are. They gave us a nice big room. Waiting on the doctor. Well, the nurse just checked and we're only 2.5 centimeters. Half a centimeter more than on Tuesday, and now it's Friday. Been laboring all night. Woke me up a couple times. And then laboring all day. And here we are in the hospital, and yet only half a centimeter. So if things don't change, if things don't speed up right now, then we'll probably head home. And it's like, you're at what?
And the nurse was
3
like,
centimeters,
I don't think so. Maybe give it a, you'll be back here by Friday, I promise you. In 2 days, you'll be back. I'm like, dang it, this is not it.
Yeah.
So,
which might have racked up a bill too. I don't know.
Probably.
Going into the hospital because we did check in. We did check in. We actually did check you in, I think.
And yes, it was a bill.
In order for them to check you. Yeah, okay.
It was definitely a bill. And then, and fast forward, it was on the due date, and we went for a doctor's appointment. And they did a membrane sweep this time.
Right.
And
that was our first
experience
with that. Right?
Membrane sweep. So they did it, and they said this might actually work, and if it does work, you'll be back you'll be at the hospital within 12 hours. Your baby will be born. And so we went home, and you had to work that evening. I remember it was cool October evening. It was about 5-6 p.m. Walking up and down our street here, and you were walking.
You were just walking with a big coat.
Yeah, I
was just walking, and then
I was feeling the
having
pain.
your labor.
It was I was there, but it wasn't.
Contractions.
I didn't want it to stop. I didn't want to sleep or anything. So it was getting more intense, and at a point, I was like, okay, crap. If it started right here, no one can get to me. So I came back home and get the house in order and get the food, the kitchen, and all that stuff. And so we told our sister that okay, I think this is it. But everyone's still doing what they were doing because you're like, I'm not taking you to the hospital.
I'm like, I'm not doing it again, not until it's real. And then we went to bed. Well, I went to sleep, or I was almost asleep. I think it was like midnight when you woke me up. And you're like, okay,
this is it.
This is it for real. And I could tell because you weren't able to talk that well. And I was like, oh, okay, all right.
So we grabbed our stuff and you drove to the hospital. The pain was, it was definitely labor pain. So we got.
It was about 45 minute drive to the hospital too.
So by the time we're there, we were trying to check us, and we had to go through the emergency room and all that stuff. And I couldn't talk, I remember. Oh my God, I'm like, oh my God, this baby's gonna come out right here. And when we got in, they checked us in, they're like, oh, yep, she's about 6 centimeters right now. So, and there it began.
So contractions were about, let's see, about 1.5 minutes on average. And about between 2 and 6 minutes in between. Seems like it's speeding up right now. We'll see what the doctor says.
And then after that, I know there's no stopping from here on. The baby's gonna be born. So we got there.
Oh wait, one of the things that we were worried about was that we had to compromise the birth plan, because the birth plan for Elena was that you didn't want anything in you, right? You didn't want a hep lock. You didn't want anything to be able to have quick injections, quick things like that. So, or any sort of IV, anything. But for the strep B, it was like, no,
antibiotics. You
have to have antibiotics going on basically the whole time.
Every 4 hours, they give a dose every 4 hours. So that's why they say come in at least 4 hours before the baby's born, so that they can get the first dose, and then the 4 hours, if the baby's born 4 hours later, you get the second dose or something like that. So we got there, and I was like 6 centimeters. I was like, and this other nurse trying to get my vein, and I'm like, can I get the other nurse, please? I'm one of those people that did that because I've never had an IV. I want someone who actually, I've done this many times. Anyways, so she did and got an IV first time. I was like, thank you so much. This is the best ever.
Just got her first IV. It was done very well. I was proud of her.
Oh boy.
Didn't cry. Starting up again. Getting chills though. Doing great, hon. Look at this. Might try to give birth in this position. You look good from this angle too.
My hair's still great.
Your hair is still great, honeybee. Looking good.
Okay, sorry. And then I was on a peanut ball, and they checked. By the time I was in the peanut ball, the next time they checked me, I was already about 9 centimeters. So I was about going through.
At some point in there, I got you into the tub.
The tub, yes.
All right. Laboring in the tub. How's it feeling, huh? Bubbles good for you? Very nice. Made it to the tub. Let's hope we can make it back before the baby comes out. And that was helpful for, I think, the majority of it. But
yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when we went in, weren't you still at like 3.5 centimeters or something like that? You were
okay, maybe I was,
but we knew something was happening, and sure enough, they checked you within like an hour, and you were already at 6.
I was
it was
6.
like boom.
Right, that's what happened.
And I don't know if that was the tub helping or what, I can't remember, but I remember you having the monitor on you in the tub, and you weren't in there very long. You weren't in there very long.
This is another tip for you know, women, if you want to get moving, because that helps to fasten the process. Get a mobile telemetry unit. That's what it's called.
Requested.
It's
if you're in a hospital, of course.
Right. Yeah. It's a mobile telemetry. I guess I will write down mobile telemetry unit, and it allows you to move around, and while they can check monitor the baby's heart rate, and in a tub you can use it in everywhere. Yeah, you can use it walking and all that stuff. So we got
we did that with our first too, which helped because we could walk anywhere, and that really helped labor.
Oh yeah, and then when I was using the peanut ball, we shared the videos. I was going through transition.
Nurses just checked, said now at about 7 centimeters, maybe a little less. So that was 1 hour going from 3.5 to 7. So doing a great job, honeybee. What else did they say? Oh, they said if the doctor came and broke your waters now, baby would come in probably about half an hour, because cervix is extremely thin. It went from about 70% to almost non-existent in an hour. So doing a great job, hon. All right, we're back out of the tub. Been out for a while. They checked, and you're around, let's see, 8.5, and the bag's bulging out. They said when the bag's probably not going to break until birth. There's a lot of pressure, so if it doesn't break on its own before 5, then after they start giving the next set of penicillin, they're gonna probably break it while giving birth. So if you have to push before it breaks, then either the baby will come out in the bag, or they'll just have to break it, or it'll break on its own.
And here I was humming away, as soon as it gets higher, I hum higher, and you can actually see in the monitor, you can see the contraction. Boom, boom. It was crazy. It was insane. So in my mind, this is what was going on in my mind. Wait, that's it? After another contraction, I'm like, that's it? I was waiting for it to get almost unbearable. I was waiting for it to get more intense, but no, it didn't get that in.
And what was the reason for that?
It was
compared
because
to Elena, compared to the first?
Compared to the first, if you guys have seen the first video, you will hear that they broke my water, the bag of water, at 4 centimeters with her. But this time, they didn't break the bag of water. It's still intact. So here I was in transition, 7 centimeter peanut ball in between my leg.
You have that natural cushion in the water.
Right. So it didn't. The bag of water is what cushions the baby's head. It cushions it. It doesn't. There's not all this grinding on the pelvis, and on your cervix, making it unbearable, hurting so much. So I was like, wait, it's not intense. It's not intense. I was so excited. That was awesome. That was really.
So you got over transition pretty well.
It was really good.
I remember. Looks like might be transition. Getting a little cold. The peaks are getting pretty intense over there. Now to start another one. Hold on then. Hold on. Hold on, honeybee. You're doing great. By God's grace, we'll get through this. Come on, ride the wave.
see
quite
the
the champ.
videos. And then after the transition finished, it was I requested the bar, the squat bar. The squat bar, this is what we used, the first one. And like, it worked
something
the first
that
one.
sticks into the bed, basically. Yeah.
Right, yeah, so you can squat while it's very efficient. You squat the baby out, basically. So we got the squat bar, and it was time to push. Basically, I was at 10. The nurse came to check me when I was at 10 and said, oh wow, the bag is bulging. If they break this bag right now, since you're already at 10 centimeters, this baby's gonna pop right out, come right out. And I was
Or
like,
so they said.
They did say that. So we're like, okay.
They're always saying stuff. Get your hopes up.
So we're like, okay, I want to do this because this is it. I'm ready. I'm ready. At least I feel like I was ready. You know, like, I'm done. Get this baby out of me. But they did that. They popped the bag of water, and I was here on the squat bar. And then the doctor, of course, is the one that did it. Popped the bag of water, and now they're waiting. And everyone kept waiting. She kept waiting. She said, okay, push now. I'm like, I don't feel the urge to push. My body's not telling me to push. I can't push right now. It's like, come on, give it a push, give it a push.
Okay, so since you were internalizing at this time, let me get my perspective. So I was there holding her hand, trying to get her through it, trying not to pressure her so that she would, you know, shut down. Because every time I pressure her, like today, trying to get you out of the house to go to that ballet thing with the girls, you slow down. So I'm like, okay, I won't put pressure, you know, just hold your hand, you know, help you through the contractions, things like that. And I was so focused on that, and I think everyone was, and by everyone, so the doctor was right there, and she was just sitting there, not really doing anything. And then there was like our nurse, and then there was another nurse, and then at every single station, at every baby station, at every other station, there was, I think it was 2 or 3 women, at least 2 at each station. And later on, I learned why. It was because they were all bored and
they want to see a natural birth.
And they had never seen a natural birth
without
they were all
any pain
young
medication.
Right. They were all young
Students, yeah.
Well, not necessarily students, but they were all, you know, fairly young nurses. Like they'd been working there for maybe 8 months or something. Most of them.
Right.
So they were all fairly new. So they had never seen. It was just, it's still a long time, 8 months.
So they were all there.
Yeah.
They were just staring.
They were all there. I thought they were there to do something. They didn't do anything. If I had my wits about me and wasn't so focused on my wife, I would have been like, all right, either you be helping or you leave, including the doctor, because it was just all this pressure.
The doctor was there. The doctor was doing this. You know, the vaginal, like here I was, well, the baby's not quite out yet. 2 step in, or 2 step out, 1 step in, 2 step out. The pulsing before, you know, the baby's crowning. Which is good. Yeah. But she wants me to be pushing while that is happening. I'm like, no, the baby's not crowning yet. I cannot push it. My body's not telling me to push it. And she was doing this. Doing this to the vaginal opening. And that does not do anything. And then she told the nurse to put the monitor to keep putting it there. I'm like, if the baby is this far out, don't put any stupid monitor on me. I know it's not gonna help anything. I just want, please take that away. So it was just, it's just so aggravating. It was just so aggravating.
I don't think olive oil or something around it. No, it was just your finger with
I just had to,
oversized glove.
I was on this squat bar. I just had to cover my face. I was asking, is there a poop there? And the doctor lied to me. I'm like, I smell this.
Yeah, we all lied to her.
Right, she was just sitting there.
Just yawning. She was so exhausted. And I don't blame her. I don't blame her. Like I said in the last video. Wait. Like I said in the last video, you know, doctors, in our case especially, you know, they're on rotations, and so it's like taking a flight to Europe, you know, or Africa, or well, maybe not Asia, that's a little too far, but it's like taking a flight like that, and you got, you know, 6 to 8 hour time difference that you're having to deal with, and you're just on jet lag. And that's what they're doing, because they're not regularly night shift people, right? They're regularly day shift, right. But it's like, you know, they're on rotations to where they're, okay, I got nights for these days this month or something, so they're exhausted. So she came in, she was exhausted. I mean, poor woman. But even so, I would be like, okay, you go take a nap, I'll call you when things are actually happening, okay? Because you're just stressing out my wife, you know, you're making her anxious, and you're not cleaning up what just came out, so you better you know, leave. And really, if I had my wits about me, that's what I would have done. But I was really focused, and I just went along with it.
And then you told me, you told me what the doctor said.
Yeah, then the doctor was like, oh,
push a little bit. I said, no, I don't want to push. The doctor said that, and then you told me that because, you know, you said the doctor.
And I think she might have even said, hey, can you tell her to you know, try to push her?
And because
it's something to do with your breathing. I think it was your breathing.
And
you couldn't hear me. I mean, you couldn't hear her. You could only hear me.
And
so, like, it had to do with your breathing.
But I'm like, no. I know. I did it the first time. I know it worked. Are you telling me everything I know?
Oh, yeah, I know what it was. You were humming. Yeah, so why do you hum?
It helps calm me down, and it also relaxes the body. It relaxes and opens things up. And I was actually doing Kegels. Actually, I was doing Kegels because it wasn't time to push. And in order for you not to rip, is that they do a counter pressure. They can put a counter pressure, put a cloth, a warm cloth, put a counter pressure down there, so it doesn't have, you don't have perineal damage or, you know, vaginal damage, basically.
Basically, it's trying to limit the pressure.
Yeah, trying to limit it's a way of limiting that pressure coming down.
So if you're a man watching this, or if you're a woman who hasn't given birth yet or something like that, or wasn't fully conscious for it, when it comes to the pressure, you're wanting to limit that pressure as much as possible. So the humming is a really important thing, and that's what people recommend for if you're really constipated, you know, to be able to relax things down there, let things go. Also, if you work out with like heavy weights or things like that, you also need to be humming, or at least, you know, breathing out air or something. You know, you're not supposed to hold that in, because if you do, you're going to suddenly have all this pressure pushing all your guts, everything going to be pushing down there, and it's going to be really
damage a lot of things there.
Exactly.
So yeah, all I do is hum. I mean, you'll see it on the video.
Every time you have a contraction, you hum.
Just hum. And the doctor
what you want to do.
Tell her to push. Tell her to push. Like,
well, she said the humming is actually keeping the baby from coming out.
I was doing that.
You know, she's like, the humming, it's like lessening the pressure.
That is not true.
Which is true, and it's like, yeah, it is lessening the pressure.
Like it's
But
it's what I was trying to do.
It's letting, because during the contractions, to give a visual, I'm all about visuals, is, you know, you have the uterus, and it's this massive muscle, and it's super strong, and it's pushing this baby out. It's squeezing this baby out. So that's what's doing the work, and it's doing the work naturally, and it's doing it in a way that's the exact amount of pressure that you need for the baby to kind of, you know, that's why it's not all at once. It's it's a contraction and then it stops. A contraction and it stops. And the reasoning for that is to give you time to relax. And
to give you the vaginal opening time to dilate enough.
Exactly. Without ripping.
Without ripping, yes.
Naturally. It has to let your skin be able to do that. Everything be able to do that to let the baby out.
Right. So another way, if you guys are watching, you guys that are watching this, counter pressure. We will talk more about this in this following birth. Counter pressure, it's a lifesaver. It's a lifesaver. We're gonna talk about it. But just a warm cloth, apply it when that baby's head is coming out. Give it a little counter pressure. It gives you that enough time for the vaginal opening to dilate enough, so that you don't rip. That counter pressure. It's key. It's amazing.
Especially if you're feeling like, okay, this is stretching a bit too fast.
Exactly. If you're going too fast,
you can control
that. Control it to slow it down. So we'll talk about about home births and all this stuff. It's counter pressure. So you should
never have to rip or anything unless your baby's like ridiculously massive.
Yeah, but even so, if you give yourself enough time with that counter pressure, it buys you time. It buys the vaginal opening time. Anyways, but there was no counter pressure. This woman was doing this with the vaginal opening. That burns actually. And then for the first time, I felt
just giving a little extra stretch there. Let me put my finger in there.
I felt the burning, what you call it? The ring of fire. The ring of fire. I'm like, crap, I did not.
Because everyone talks about the ring of fire, and you didn't have that.
I didn't like the first time, and then here it is, and no one was helping me. I'm like, crap, it's burning, it's burning, it's burning. I'm like, crap, I can't do this. I can't. This is what was going in my head, and then she's telling me push, push, push. I'm like, I know I'm not supposed to push, but here my husband's like, maybe you should give it a push. So I tried.
I was just going along with it because I was like, oh, well, maybe that will help.
I did. Anyways, I almost ripped. I'm like, okay. There's no way to slow down. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Anyways,
you were pretty upset at me and the doctor.
I did. I was.
You almost made me rip.
So the head came out. After he said, yeah, give it a little push. The head came out when it was already almost there. So I gave it a push, it came out. And then another push. You can see Bella has a wide shoulder. It took a little bit more, almost the same as that. So, and then push, and that one came out, boom, boom, and then baby came out, boom. And so I was, so I had to sit back a little bit down and hold the baby. And, oh yeah, we have that video of the holding the baby. And then... that this one didn't even, she had to say, oh, we're gonna give you a Pitocin shot. And this is one of the things that you were talking about earlier, about they just make it a because one thing happens, they just do things. They just gave me a Pitocin shot because now I have an IV that they can stick it into. Oh, it's easy. So they gave me a Pitocin shot, and like, okay, now
wait, explain what that is. Explain what that is that you're doing right now. Back up.
So they gave the Pitocin shots into the IV,
And the doctor
started yanking on the placenta. Yanking like this.
Tugging the cord.
I can feel it tugging on it.
And you're like, what's that? You look down. She's like...
And she didn't talk at all anyways. So, give me a little push. I'm like, okay. Push. And then let's try to grab the placenta. That one came out too. And...
So 2 things about that. So I had read leading up to that that's something you never do. You never pull the cord. Now I know why she was doing it. She was doing it to see, okay, is it lengthening, right? So if it gives some, then you know, okay, it's detached and it's already on its way out.
Right.
So that makes sense. However, when it's another person doing it to you,
it feels really
they don't
weird.
Know how hard to tug.
Yes.
They don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not their body, so it makes a lot more sense if you were to tug it.
And now we know this. We find out this way while giving birth. Well, we'll talk about that. Wow, home birth. Husband-assisted home birth. That was awesome. Anyways, we'll talk about it later. Anyways, the baby birth, and then there's a placenta has been birthed, and now we just rest and... Yeah, to say, oh yeah, don't forget to pee after, is it 2 hours? Because, you don't burst your bladder or something. But anyways, we pee, and then they take us to the delivery room. Oh, no, postpartum room.
Well, first off, I guess, in total, how many hours was it? It was like 3 hours or something, wasn't it?
We arrived around midnight, and the baby was born around 4:30 a.m.
Okay, yeah. It was pretty darn quick.
It was quick, yes.
No, we arrived after midnight, right? Because we woke up at midnight and left. Am I right? Or did we check in?
We arrived around 12:30.
Oh, okay, so it was earlier than that. Okay.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was very quick. To me, it was very quick. It was like we were there.
So from the time they did the membrane sweep to the baby's birth, it was exactly, almost roughly 12 hours. And that's what it said. And that's what we figure out this birth, and then the next one that we'll talk about later.
Yeah, we made use of that later on as well.
Membrane sweeping is awesome. It works only when you're close, though. Because, we'll talk about it later. When you're close, when you're like, maybe the day of due date or very close, it works. Anyways, and then they took us to the postpartum room, and the food, the hospital food, because I was so hungry. Short video of that. Eating, I just love the hospital food.
You had been looking forward to that the whole time. You're like, yes, food that other people cook for me, and I can eat as much as I want.
That's one thing that I don't really mind being at the hospital for, because of the food. Oh my gosh, I'm a foodie. Yeah, but other than that...
Oh, we always stayed there until they kicked us out.
But other than that, I really am not a big fan of hospital. I'm like, if you have a unremarkable pregnancy, unremarkable everything going so well, there's no need to be in a hospital. So that's why the next one we did a home birth. Anyways, moving forward, so they kicked us out, or we left the hospital, and then we came home, and the baby is met by Elena, the older sibling. And it was a sweet moment when we brought the baby in for the first time, and she met her little sister, and she was so happy. She was waving to the baby. Anyways, and so overall, it was a very... How are you enjoying the hospital food?
Ah, you're enjoying the hospital food then. Very nice. What do you have here?
A lot of food.
You have a stir fry with beef. You have mac and cheese, potato salad, a cookie, salad, broth, herbal tea, ginger ale.
And Annabella's mouth is watering already.
Annabella? I think she's dreaming only. I already ate all my food, so I can't make a video of it.
Hola, Lenita. Ṣáàmọ̀ bèbè tá à ń sọ̀rọ̀ tó wà nínú ikùn màmá. Àti bí bèbè wà búrò ẹ̀ tutù rẹ̀ báyìí. Annabella, Olúwayẹmísí, wò báyìí. Sọ pé hola bèbè, wo bèbè báyìí.
Mira, Elena, ya ves, tu hermanita. Tu hermanita. Y mamá y papá, aquí estamos con tu hermanita. Ya te veremos muy pronto. Mira la bebé. Mira la bebé. ¿Ya ves? ¿Oh? Mira la bebé. La bebé. Dile hola.
Hola bebé.
Dile hola.
Hola bebé.
Dile hola bebé. Dile hola Bella. Hola Bella. Hey. Bueno, Elena, nos veremos pronto. Chao.
Ay, bebé.
La bebé está durmiendo. Ajá. Ya, es tu hermanita. Es Bella, es la bebé Bella. Ajá. ¿Qué te parece, Elena?
Bebé.
Es la bebé. Muy bien, suave, suave. Siempre suave con la bebé, ¿vale? Ajá. Yeah, se llama Bella. Bella, Annabella. Annabella. Olúwayẹmísí.
Pregnancy, at the birth, I would say pregnancy.
We'd say it was a good pregnancy. It was very good.
Right, very, very good.
Yeah.
I would say
pregnancies. For when Bella watches this later.
All pregnancies are different because there's different circumstances around each pregnancy. It makes it so
there's different people inside of you.
Exactly, and then different situation, outside factors too with each pregnancies. But birthing, that's what I keep telling people. Pregnancies can be so different, but the birthing is still the same. Basically, you still squat the baby out. You know, babies comes out the same. You know, so what I'm saying, comes out the same way. Pregnancies are, you know, with all the factors, it might be different, but the outcome is always the same. It should always be the same, like a live birth, of course, and you know, birth the baby out in that same way. It's always be the same. So, and then yeah, overall it was a good experience. Postpartum, what are the differences between the first one and the second one? The postpartum, at least in my experience, it's heal faster. Everything, because you've done this before, you know what to expect. You know, the unknown is what the scariest thing. But now that you know what to expect from the first one, you can know how to prepare, and it actually it's a lot faster. And Bella, and she's the one that one of those they checked and they said, oh, she has a lot of hair. I'm like, oh, okay. And then she came out too, of course. All of this hair. She is the most haired. She has the most hair on the head, the baby that we have so far. And she still does.
She's got a very full head of hair.
So cute.
Hey.
Eye to eye contact.
Tan fijamente. Oh, estás haciendo muy bien.
Wow.
Yeah, she has no problem controlling her neck. Mira, mamá. No la ves. No la ves, ¿verdad? No la puedes ver.
Coping when it comes to now we have 2 children. We were just getting used to having 1 child, a family of 3. Now we're a family of 4. How did we cope? I mean, it was all, we got back into the routine because they're only 15 and a half months apart. They're very close in age. So it got about, without routine, it takes a few weeks, no, maybe a few months, and we're back into our regular good old routine, and everything is back to normal. And Bella felt like she's been here the entire time. So yeah, the first few weeks and first month or so was really stressful, lack of sleep and all that stuff. But after that, it's like they've always been here, and this is how it is with all the rest of our babies too. Yeah, it's like, yeah, they've always fit in, like they've always been here. Right, they're part of the family, you know, and that's one of the things that I had heard of before, and it really stuck with me. And that's how we do it is, you know, we prepare for the child, you know, to come, but we're preparing for the child to integrate quickly into our family, which means integrate into our schedules, you know, our sleep schedules, all that kind of stuff, everything. So when the baby comes, you know, the reason why we have the baby in the bedroom with us is for mommy, for nursing it, so you don't have to get up, right? And I was talking to someone about this recently, but yeah, that's the reason. It's not because you have to have the baby near you, right? No, it's just for the mom, so that the mom doesn't have to wake up and get up, you know, physically. She needs to be laying down. She needs to be resting. She needs to be resting everything, healing up. And so that's why the first week. Oh, I'll let you talk.
Right. So that's why the first week we do that. But after the first week, it's like, okay, you're feeling a little bit better. You can get up a little bit, or even if you can't, you know, I will get up as long as the baby's outside the room. I'm like, baby's good now. Usually the feedings start to kind of get more cyclical, get more in order. They're not cluster feeding quite as much. They're not like always having to eat, because the first week their stomachs are like, what is it, like size of a quarter or smaller? I mean, they're tiny. But within a week, their stomachs stretch enough to where they're able to handle, you know, at least 2 hours or more in between feedings, which is nice. So after a week, I'm like, okay, baby should at least be outside the room, if not in their own room. And that helps so much with parent sanity, with your ability to sleep, because again, the biggest focus, the baby's good. The baby's fine. The baby's born healthy. If the baby's born healthy, that's great, you know? You don't have to worry about them so much. If they cry, you feed them, right? Or if they're about to cry, feed them, whatever. You know, you change them. They're very simple. But you want...
Is the baby in the room? That's the, you know, that's the issue, in the fact that then they, you know, they make really small noises, and the noises actually wake you up and you don't sleep, and you're just, every time they squeak or something, you're up and trying to see what's wrong with them this time and stuff. But if they're in their own room after that first week or so, you don't really hear all the squeaking. They sleep very well, unless if something is actually wrong. If they need to cry, they cry, and then you go and get them.
Right, because I've heard some others say, like, as soon as they hear a squeak or some noise, they immediately get up and start feeding them, even if they don't need it, you know? And you can get some pretty big babies that way. But
you get tired.
Yeah, it's just, you want mommy to heal up, right? That's what you want. Both mom and dad, they want mom to heal up. They want mom to get her energy back, to feel good, to feel happy, to be able to enjoy the baby. You know, you can't really do that if you're forcing the baby on yourself, if that makes sense. So that's kind of our way of doing it. And then also, as for sleep patterns, you know, a lot of people will talk about sleep patterns. You know, babies are babies. They're gonna do whatever they're gonna do. You can't handle them. In our experience, at least for all of our children, just because of what I just said, where, you know, you fit them into your sleep schedule, over time they do. At least our babies, it's within at least a month.
Even more so now, 6 weeks actually.
6 weeks. by about 6 weeks, they're sleeping through the night.
Yes.
Yeah, they're doing really well.
And now they're actually matching the older siblings' sleep pattern. They all sleep at 7:30. 7:30.
And they wake up at 7:30.
Yeah.
So they sleep about 12 hours, 10, 12 hours every night, which is pretty awesome. And I don't know if that's universal, but I do know for all of our children, it's been that way. I mean, for all 4 of them, it's been that way. So I don't know. Maybe that can work for other people as well.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're all very different individuals with very different energies and stuff, and yet they've all done that. So
yeah, and
oh, I still have a child that's running around, you know. About that, kind of having another child in the house when you already have a child, so your second child, how the interactions work and all that kind of stuff. Because our children are so close together, they never have enough time as like the youngest or as the only child in the case of our eldest. You know, they didn't have that much time. So for them, it's just like, oh, you know, okay, they say there's a baby in here, and then, okay, now there's a baby. All right, well, that's cool. There's a baby now. Neat. You know, I can imagine if we had waited a long time or something, if we had, you know, 4 or 5 years or something, then yeah, I could see our daughter being jealous, you know, being like, all that. But we never have any of that for the most part. There might be a little clinginess, you know, they might be like, oh, I want to be held too. Right. It's like, I got 2 knees, sure, you know. Of course, now with 4, that's a little tricky. But our knees are going to be outnumbered with the next one. But anyways, yeah. So.
But there's always this anxiety, you know, and the stress of course, having a new baby. How do you make this work? Oh my gosh, that's another new one in the house and all that stuff. There's an anxiety in the first few weeks, but it goes away. I usually tell myself it's a season, it will go away, and it's not going to last forever. Yeah, lots of, you know, I make sure I don't coop up in the room, you know, most of the time. You know, when the time is after 4 days or so, I make sure I go out to get some fresh air, you know, go walking. You're going to be surprised what just walking a little bit here, getting some sunshine on you will do for your health.
While doing Kegels, of course.
Oh, Kegels, yes.
Always doing Kegels. Kegels.
All the time. Yeah, will do for your health, and just and trying to take care of yourself, to listen to your body, take it slow, and eat as much good, you know, good fresh food as you can. I know a lot of things that made me get my energy back. Now, knowing what we know now, a lot of greens, a lot of beans, legumes, and all this food. We'll talk more about that in the 4th one. Yeah. All this fresh green fruits, and you know, we stay away from juices and all this processed stuff. You know, all this fresh foods gives us energy, makes you heal really fast, and you're back at your game, helping the family really quickly. Oh yes, definitely. And yeah, the greens definitely help to help with the bleeding, for the postpartum bleeding. It helps you clot super fast and all that.
And also, people will say, people will tell you this, but really do take it to heart, that don't have such high expectations for like the household and how things are supposed to be and everything. Like if you're one that always has everything clean and in order and everything, like, you know, you're gonna have to let some things go. But absolutely, anyone that offers help, take it. If you're one of those that can't take help, even from your own, you know, family, you're gonna have to learn how to do that. Just say yes. Just force your mouth to say yes, thank you, and that will help a ton. So even if it's people who you're like, I don't like the kind of food that they cook, if they offer you to make food for you, you know, you say, yes, thank you. Yes, absolutely. We'd really appreciate it.
Anything helps. Yeah.
Anything. So I mean, even if that's just, okay, I'm gonna give this to my husband and the kids. Okay, whatever. You know, fine. At least that's, you know, it helps with meal prep and stuff like that. So, so yeah, anything like that. You know, any help that people offer, even from your own family, your own husband, whoever, do take it. Do take it, absolutely, because yeah, you need that time to rest. Yes. Like you said, you're not gonna be able to, you know, feel your body, where your body's at, if you can handle certain things. Like if you're standing too long, you're like, oh crud, shouldn't be standing this long. Oops, let me lay down again. You know, I feel blood coming or whatever. That sort of thing. You know, you're not gonna be able to feel that if you're stressed about, oh, this and
oh, and one other thing is for postpartum meals and all that stuff. Like, how do you do it when you're pregnant and you have another family, you know, have other children, all this stuff. How do you do postpartum meal? It's just, you know, little by little. When you cook a big meal, I think I started at like, is it 35 weeks or so pregnant, and then you just cook big meals. I just have this mentality of large family, cook huge meals, and then half of it you just save and freeze it and all that. And you know, what kind of foods did I make? I mean, did I freeze food this time around? I'm trying to think back to second pregnancy, second babies.
We actually didn't really.
Well, this one we didn't.
Yeah, I mean, we really didn't. Not a whole lot. Maybe some beans, but
right.
We didn't do a lot.
Oh yeah, because
we changed what we ate.
We changed what we ate, so we ate mostly.
But back when we were in like lasagna and casserole and all this kind of stuff, it constipates you and makes postpartum worse.
Oh my gosh, postpartum poop.
Sorry, we're kind of everywhere, but yeah.
Postpartum poop. It's the worst. Oh my gosh, how do I say this? If you can avoid food that make your postpartum poop, like you'll be constipated, avoid it. And those foods are like dairy, lots of cheese. I know they told us at birthing class. I'm like, what are they talking about? What is going on? Whatever. I want to eat cheese. I'll eat cheese. Well, they were right. Postpartum poop is real. I mean, think of hemorrhoid on some level. Thank God it wasn't that too seriously bad. But now I see what they mean by avoid this food. You know, now knowing what we know now, compared, oh my gosh, I'm like, what took us so long? Eat foods that will make your poop and make life easier for you, you know, and grains. That's gonna be your beans and your legumes and your fruits, and lots of fruit and fresh foods and all that stuff. But if you're eating things like lasagna with the cheese and then drinking milk and then
which is like all we ate.
Cereal and that's all we ate. Yes.
Well, we ate that, and then in order to help for the food that we were eating,
yeah, we
bought all these laxatives
that
are not really you're not supposed to be taking that regularly like that.
Oh no, oh my gosh. Yeah. Anyways, I guess we'll talk more on the fourth baby when we get to that part. Anyways, but yes, please take it to heart. Every time you eat food, remember, like, especially when you're close to giving birth, it's like, is this gonna be worth it for that postpartum poop?
It's like, do I want this to be my medicine, or do I want to eat something that I need to take medicine to counteract?
That. Yeah, oh my God.
So yeah, do I want to eat greens that are going to help me, or do I want to eat something like cheese that I then have to take a laxative to help get through? You know?
And the thing about laxative, I'm sorry, unless you take like a ton of it, it doesn't really. What my experience, it didn't work. Yeah. You still have, I mean, it might work one time, but the next poop, you're still eating the same kind of food. It's still gonna be not pleasant, you know. So it's good to stay away from those food. Anyways, but if you guys love this video, please, if it helps you in a way, share it with your friends, please. We're passing it forward, I suppose, because we watch a lot of YouTube videos and they helped us a lot when researching all these things. So we're passing it forward.
And passing on our mistakes for you to learn from.
Right, yes, exactly. And yeah, we're going to come back with the third one. And we'll talk about our first home birth. So, yeah, until next time then.
Thank you.
Thank you.